In this session, we're going to take a look at working with simple sports designs, but dressing them up with some effects to give them some pop and really add a touch to them. You know, in screen printing, we see a lot of these softball teams and organizations and things like that. And if you learn how to use Corel and the tools in Corel effectively, then you can add some pop to these simple designs, make them look better. And you know, the fact is, if you're doing designs for sports teams, then usually they're in leagues. And if your competition is creating shirts for teams in the league, and they're just coming in with flat clip art, nothing really dressed up or popping on the t-shirts, but the folks that are on your teams that you're printing and designing for are coming in with these nice designs with some pops and effects on them, obviously they're going to get some attention. People take a lot of pride in what they wear. So, you know, if one team's got some really flat designs and they look at the other team's design and say, well, you know, where'd you get those nice t-shirts? Those look great. And they say, well, I got those down at Mike's shop. Well, next thing you know, they're going to be coming down to your shop for their artwork and their designs. And we've seen this even in our own screen printing shop. We've been able to take a lot of clients away from local customers by doing better printing and better work, better design, etc. So in this session, we're just going to take a look at making some simple effects and dressing up our sports designs in Corel Draw. In this session, I'll be working with a font from www.duffont.com. You can get that for free. That's Athletic. And that's what I made the M in the design with. To get started, the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and start out with my text tool. So I'll come over here to the toolbar. I'll get the text tool, and I'll just come over here and click. Then I'll hold down Shift on my keyboard and hit the letter M, and that'll give me a capital M. Go back to my pick tool with that selected, and then I'll come over here and select my Athletic font, which is here, or you can get it down here in your font list. Next thing I'll do is go ahead and enlarge this. Left click, hold down. And I want to make this a little bit wider just so I've got some more room to work with in the actual letter. At this point I can see that's had some effect in the V shape or the wedge here in the M, so I'll go ahead and right click on this and select Convert to Curves. I'll come up here under my pick tool and I'll get my shape tool. I'll just select this node, left click, hold down to constrain that, and I'll hold down Control, not left click, excuse me, right click, and I'll just move that up and I'll have that constrained, and that would be my M. Now with that selected being my M, the next thing I want to do is I'll go ahead and duplicate that. I kind of like to keep duplicates of things. Go ahead and fill this with a white, outline that with black. Now right now I've got snapping turned on, so I'm going to go ahead and get my Bezier tool over here, and I'm just going to create a line, and I'll start right here from the edge, and then I'll come down here and I'll hold down Control to constrain that, and that'll give me a straight line. Then I'll go ahead and I'll get my shaping tool again. I'm going to go right click on this line segment and select To Curve. Then I'll just left click, hold down, drag that out, and that'll give that a round or an elliptical shape. And I'm going to go ahead and take these two nodes and I'll just move these back here, holding down Control, and I'm going to pull this out even more. If I want to make further adjustments, I can click on one node here, and you can see this control arm, and I can bring that up and kind of shape that nice and round the way I'd want it to, and have it be nice and balanced inside the M, as you can see there. Sort of like a baseball shape inside of the M. Now with that done, actually, that I've done that, I'm going to turn off snapping for a minute, so I'll just go over here to Edit, and I want to come down to, no, I want to go to View, and I want to go to Setup, and then I'm going to go to Snap Objects here, and I'm going to deselect all, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that off for now, because I don't want to have snapping turned on. I only usually like snapping when I'm doing certain things. I usually like to work with it turned off. Go back to my shape tool here, and I'm just going to do some tweaks here on this curve or arch that I built out here. Bring this in a little bit here, a little bit there. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and pull this up this way. Make this a little bit more rounded. You can tweak this however you'd like it. Now the next step for me is I'm going to want to make my stitches that you see over here going around the design and apply those to the arch. Now I know that in the end I'm going to end up power clipping this. So I'll just go ahead and enlarge this a little bit so it'll be a little bit bigger. And then I'll go ahead and bring this down through here. So when I power clip in, my stitches will go right through. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and create my stitches. To do that, I'll create a simple rectangle. We'll zoom in here. We'll see just about what size we want to be. And we'll make that probably just about right that size there. Then I'll go ahead and get my shape tool, and I'll just round the edges on this. Go ahead and fill this with, say, a red. Take the outline off it by going up here and right clicking in my color palette. And I can adjust the shape of this, and then I'll go ahead and rotate this. And actually I'll go ahead and rotate down to start with here like that. Then I'm going to come over here to my shape tool. I'm going to come down to the smear tool. And I'm going to make some adjustments on this just so it doesn't look so it's, you know, exactly straight lines, kind of more like a natural stitch. I'll hold down shift and push my mouse forward. That'll make that a little bit bigger. And then I'll just kind of change the shape of that just a little bit, not a lot. Then I'll go ahead, left click, hold down, right click one time to duplicate this. Then I'll go ahead and mirror this horizontally and bring this up in and place it right in, say right about there, as you can see. And then I can take these two, and I'll just go ahead and weld these. Then I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'll duplicate this again, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it again here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my interactive tools, and I'm going to go to the blend tool. And I'll start with the top, left click, drag down to the red. Now that's got 23 steps in it. I'm going to go to my pick tool, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select new path, and I'm going to come over here and click on my arch. Then I'm going to come over here to my more blend mode options. I'll come down and blend along full path. And then I'll select that again and I'll go rotate along full path. Now here at the bottom I've got my ending object for my blend, and here at the top I've got my beginning object for my blend. So what I'm going to do is I want these to rotate along the line. So I'll click this again and I'll rotate this, and you'll see what this does. It changes the way in which my stitches are rotating along the line. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. Left click, then I'll go ahead and rotate this, and I'll get a nice rotation of my stitch effect right through that line. Now at this point I can go ahead and select this, and I'll just right click, break, blend group apart. And then I'll go ahead and take all of these and I'll just weld these together because these will be my stitches. Now you can see I have my line in there. I didn't want my line. So what I want to do is just go ahead and click off. I'll select this. That's my start. These are already grouped, so they're fine. I'll select that, and then I'm going to select down here at the bottom, and then I'll go ahead and click on weld, and I've still got the line where the crease would be in the baseball. And this line I'm going to take and I'm going to change this from 0.5 to, let's say, a 0.15, just to make that a little bit bigger, and that's going right down the center just like I'd want it to. The next thing to do is go ahead and lasso and select everything here, and for now I can go ahead and group these, and I can bring these over here, and then I can come up here and mirror these horizontally and then just set them up where I'd want them on the other side of the M, holding down Control to constrain those. Won't need this anymore. I can delete this. Now here's my M with my stitches set up to go. The next thing I want to do is build out my effect here that goes along the inside of the M that is kind of like a baseball texture, as you can see right there. So to build out my effect for the baseball here, I'll come back over here to my M that I set up here. I'll go ahead and select that and duplicate that because I'm going to want to keep that and my stitches and build my effect out here. Here I'll go ahead and I'll ungroup all, and I want to make sure that these blends are broken apart. And it looks like if I go ahead and select this, I can just go ahead and delete that and do the same thing here and delete that. Now what I'll do here is I'll take this seam and this seam, I'll select both of these. I'm holding down shift as I select these lines. Right click and change those to a white. I'm going to take my M in the background and I'm going to fill that with about a 50% gray. And I'll do the same thing for the outline. And I'll go ahead and select everything that I've got here, and I'll go to bitmaps and I'll select convert to bitmap. 300 dpi transparent background is fine. I'll select OK. I'll go ahead and copy that, and then I'm going to paste that back in. Then I'm going to go to effects, transform, and invert. Then I'm going to come over here to my interactive tools down to transparency, and I'm going to go with a uniform transparency. I'm going to set that to color dodge, and I'm going to slide that 50% all the way back to 0. Now it looks like it's disappeared here, but then I'm going to go to bitmap and I'm going to go to blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And you know, if I just do a few pixels, and we'll take a look at this preview, you'll see you don't get a lot of effect. But if I bring this out to say 20 pixels, right around here, preview, you can see I get a nice puffed out effect. I might want to go a little bit more, smooth that out a little bit, just like that. And you see a nice effect, almost like the stitches are going to be pulling into the letter M. And I'll select OK. Then I'm going to select both of these bitmaps, and I'll go to bitmap, convert to bitmap. Remember, I had one bitmap pasted on top of the other, set with the transparency to the color dodge, and I applied my effect. Now I want to create one bitmap from this. So I'll go to bitmap, convert to bitmap, select OK, and now I've got my M here. Now if I want to make this darker or lighter, and I can make some changes on that later, I'd simply go to Effects, Adjust, and say something like the tone curve, and just make that a little bit darker if I wanted to. And we'll click on Preview, and we can see that that will make that just a bit darker. And I'll select OK. Next I want to add a baseball type texture to the M that I've created here that has the kind of puffed out or embossed look coming off of the seams. You can do that very simply by coming over here to my transparency tool. That's already selected. Or I can get to that by going through the small arrow down here on the right, down to transparency. From here I'll go from none to texture. Now we can see that this first texture is really close, and this will work just fine. You can also come down here to the libraries for the texture fills and look at different types of textures you might want to use, and you can use your arrow key to float through these and look at these. You can see all these different types of textures that are available here. I mean, if I wanted to work like something like this, I could, but I'll go ahead back up here to samples because this will work just fine, and I'll just change this to, let's say, a black. Hit preview, we've got black and white. I'll select OK, and then I can actually work with this interactively. I can come up here and click on this circle and then rotate and change the size of this for the texture or the effect, as you can see right there. Now at this point, if I do want to make this darker, if I'm not happy with it, I can go back again to Effects, Adjust, and Tone Curve and make further adjustments. Left click, pull down, click on Preview, and you can see that. And I'm kind of happy with that, so actually I'll go ahead and select that and select OK. Next thing I want to do is I'll go ahead and take these two objects that I've got for my stitch effects here, and I'll just group these just so that they are grouped. I'll take this object that I've created with the effects, and I'll right click on that, not left click, bring that over the M and select Power Clip Inside. Now that's not lined up, but I can go over here with that selected and just go to Center Contents or Fit Contents proportionally. I'll go with Center Contents. Now you can see that's not really lined up very well, but I'll fix that here in just a minute. And then I'll take these stitches that I have and I'll just right click on those also, same thing, and Power Clip Inside. And then with those I'll go and Center Contents also. Now you can see what I did is I centered everything again there, Center Contents. It's not really lining up the way I want it to, so I'll go ahead and do that manually. I'll go to Edit Power Clip. I'll take my bitmap, I'll select that. I'll just grab that corner there and then bring that right over to the corner to where that M is, and that'll line right up. Now this doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to put an outline on here in the design anyway. And then I'll take what is my stitches and I'll bring those over and line those up and see if we can get those into position, which would probably be like right about in this area right there. Just want to get these close, and I have to do this manually because it's not going to center them up correctly all the way, and that's pretty close there, and I can see up here that that's reasonably close there. I'll go ahead and select Ungroup here, and I can select this here, and that's all of that, and I'll hit Control Z, and I can just skew this over a bit to get it into place, and I can do the same thing over here if I need to. That's fine there. That's fine here. I'll go ahead and skew this over, it just lines up. Doesn't have to be perfect because I'm actually going to change the outline on that. And then I'll go ahead and select this and I'll go to Ungroup All. And I'm going to take this line segment or this curve that I have here, and that's got a black outline of 1.5, and I'm going to change that to 2, and that'll fill that right in. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Go ahead and select this, Ungroup All. Go ahead and select that curve and change that to a 2, and that'll be just fine. I can move that over just a hair there, and that'll be perfectly in place. Then I'll come here and click on Stop Editing Contents, and then I've got that all set. So now I've got my effect set up with my stitches inside the M, and next I'll go ahead and set up my outlines and effects for the actual t-shirt design. What I'd like to do when I'm designing is actually design on the comps. That gives me a better feel of how the design is going to look on the actual t-shirt. So I'll go ahead and duplicate that comp. All I do is left click, hold down, right click, one time release. That duplicates wherever you release it. Go ahead and take my t-shirt comp here, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. Go ahead and get my M here, and I'll just duplicate this here, kind of like a center chest. I could resize that a little bit if I want to, and set that up right there. And then I'll come up here to the outline. So I actually want to go to the object properties. Give that an outline of, say, 12. I'm going to right click and change that to a white. Round my corners, round my end caps, behind fill, etc. So that's nice and set up. And actually we might want to go to say a 16, see how big that is. And actually that'll be just fine. The next thing I want to do is I'll go ahead and take this and I'll copy this, paste this back in, and then I'm going to click on Extract Contents and delete that. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to fill it with black and outline it with black, and I want to go ahead and right click here, and you can see, you can't see it on the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here so you can see this. I'm going to right click on this because it still has a power clip associated with it. I'm going to go to Frame Type and select None. Then I'll go ahead and get back in position here. I'll right click on this. I want to go to Order and go to In Front Of, and I'll click on the t-shirt here. I'll just use my arrow keys, and I can just down key, and you can see that shadow starting to show up. Then I'll left key over to the left a little bit there. Then I'll go ahead and paste again. Same thing, Extract Contents. Go ahead and delete that. I'll take this, go up to the Frame Type again. Can't see it this time. I'll select None. I'm going to go No Fill, Black Outline. I'm going to change that black outline to say 1 point. And not happy with that, I'll go to say 2 points. And I'll change that to a gray. So I've got that set up. Now I can look at that, and I'll take a look at that from a distance and see, how well is that effect working that's in there. And I might want to make some adjustments to that, at least as far as the depth or the darkness of the effect here. And I can go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and cut that outline I had. Now I'm going to have that on my clipboard, so I don't want to hit cut or paste or do anything while I'm working on this. I'll go back to Edit Contents. I'll take this bitmap, I'll go Effects, Adjust, and Tone Curve again. I'm going to change this to a straight, and I'll just pull this down, see if we can make that a little bit darker. I'll click on Preview, and I think that's going to be okay. I'll select OK, finish editing there. Then I'll go ahead and paste that back in. There's my outline, and there's my effect. Now, looking at my stitches, if I want to make those look a little bit more realistic, I can do that also, working with some tools in Corel Photo Paint. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll actually go ahead and move this outline over to the left this time, just so that I've got it here. I got the black by accident there. I want to make sure I got the one here on top. I'll just move this over because I could just center that up. And I'll go back into my power clip here, and I'll select my stitches that I have here. Make sure those are just the stitches. I'll take these and I'll go Bitmaps, Convert to Bitmap, 300 DPI, anti-aliasing, transparent background, very important, select OK. Then I'll go to, now this is optional, you just want to print flat red, you can do that. If you're D to G, then you might want to put these effects on here. It depends on how you want to do it. But I'll go to Edit Bitmap, and that'll open this up in Corel Photo Paint. And I'll go ahead and maximize this, and I'm just going to go to Effects, Texture, and I'll come here to Plastic, and you can see that effect. Now here, if you have some highlight set on there, you'll see that'll set in there too, so you could have a highlight and a shadow with the plastic. It depends on how you want to have that set up, and you can change your angle, etc., of how you want to have that set up, but it gives that a nice shadow on those stitches. I'll go ahead and select Save, and then I'll go ahead and close Photo Paint, and you can see there's now some depth on those stitches. I'll go ahead and click on Stop Editing here. I'll select this and that M, and I'll just hit C and E. As you can see there, that centers that all up, and now my M is set up for my design. All I need to do is go ahead and just set up our text for our design. That'll be very easy. just go ahead and get our text tool here, and we'll type in, actually I'll put in caps locks, I'll turn that on. I'll just type in Mustang, and then I'll go ahead and hit enter, and I'll enter softball. And then with this selected, I'll just hit Control K, and that'll break those apart. And I'll show that to you again. That's kind of a nifty trick. If you've got two lines of artistic text and you hit Control K, that'll break that up and you have two different lines of artistic text. Go ahead and lasso these, and I'll change my font to Athletic. Go ahead and resize these. For now, I'll just go ahead and fill these with the white to set them up on the t-shirt. Bring them down under my M here. Resize them. Maybe I want the Mustang to be just about the same size as the M, and just position that right under there. If I want to center that, I can just select both of these and hit center, and everything will center. I can hit my softball here or select that, and I can hold down my control key and center that, resize that based on the center holding the control key. You see that my cursor changes there, and make the softball maybe just a little bit smaller. Something like right about there, and bring that in there. Now these two, I'll go ahead and select these and hit center again, just make sure that they're centered. And we can see that set up there, Mustang softball. What I'll do here is I'll go ahead and select these, both selected. I still got them selected. You can barely see it, but here are the selections or the controllers that are on the boxes there for the outline. That would be the rectangle of both objects. If you do need to select them both, you can just select one, hold down Shift, select the other one, you'll have them both. Right click, convert to curves. Now what I want to do this time, maybe just move this down a little bit. I'll give these an outline of, say, 8. I'll go to round my corners and end caps underneath my objects properties docker. Same thing there. And we'll take a look. We've got that actually as a white there filled with red. So I'll go with red and a white outline. 8 might be too much. I'll go for 4. That might be too little. I can just key in a 6 here and hit enter. And there's my Mustang softball text. I'll go ahead and copy that again, paste that back in, fill that and outline with black, right click again, go to order, in front of, click on the t-shirt, use my arrow keys again, going down, and then I'll just go over to the left a little bit there, just to put some shadow behind that. And then we could do something like take both of these, I'll combine these, and I'll add a little effect here. Go ahead and copy this, I'll paste this back in. And once that's pasted in one time, I've got one copy of that there. I'll take the outline off of that, right click, fill that with, say, a cyan, copy that, paste that again, fill that this time with, say, a green, and then I'll just offset this a little bit here, just like that. And I'll select both of these, and I'll hit front minus back up here in the multiple objects properties bar. And now I've got that cyan in there, and I could change that to a different color. Here it's set up as a black in the design, as you can see here. So I'll go ahead and fill that with a black. And then you'll notice when you do this, you don't have to do this, but you'll notice in some places it didn't quite go all the way up. But if you want to, you can fix that. For that, I'll go ahead and go to View, and I'll go to Setup, and I'll go to my Snap to Objects again. I'm going to click on Select All and select OK, and then I'll zoom out here. I'll get my Shape tool, and if I go ahead and take my Shape tool and I just select these nodes, lasso them, left click, hold down lasso, start pulling, and you can see I can just snap these right to these nodes and go around the design and get all of these lined up. It'll only take me just a minute or two here. Now you notice if I select this node down here, I'm not snapping. And that's not what I want. So I'll hit Control Z to go back, get these lassoed, and take the node that has the arrow shape, and that will snap. As you can see there, select these two here, grab this node, that will snap. Same thing over here. The node with the arrow, that will snap. Same thing here. Sometimes it shows it, sometimes it doesn't, but that will snap. As you can see there, and I could go right through just snapping all of these into their proper places. So they're all lined up on my design, making sure that I select that inside node there. Same thing here, and that'll snap over here, and just bring that over, it'll snap right in. Same thing there. And work through my design, just snapping all these in place if I want to. Once again, not critical, depends on how you want that to look. I just wanted to show you how to work with these snap to objects and do something like snap all these into place and line them all up if that's something you want to do with your design. And it'll probably take about maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go through the whole design and set that all up. But for the sake of the tutorial, we won't go through 2 minutes of me going through and snapping nodes and lines in place, etc. But that's how you'd create a design like that and end up with a nice basic sort of sports design with some nice touches and effects on it. That's really going to help you stand out from your competition. Once again, very important when you're dealing with printing for leagues and you've got 2 or 3 teams that you're printing for, you want to give them really good graphics so they show up at the games with better graphics on their t-shirts than the teams that they're competing with. And then once again, as I said in the beginning of the video, the guys that got the flat art and stuff like that, they'll be saying, you know, that's a great t-shirt, where'd you get it? They'll really like those effects. And I got that down at Mike's. Next thing you know, they're coming to you. So you really want to use your artistic knowledge and ability in Corel Draw to create better graphics, because that's really part of your marketing strategy. You know, you send better graphics out in the community, people take notice of it. You just send flat, standard sports graphics, and people don't take as much notice of it. So anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap here, and we'll see you in our next video.